Component 2, Section B, Media Representations in Duran's Rio music video. The final media text for this section of the exam is Duran's Rio music video. This is an historical text which requires you to consider 3 areas of the theoretical framework: media language, representation, and media context. This video will show you how representation is the central link between all 3. This is because media language, which considers how media texts use visuals, sounds, etc., is just the manner in which we communicate ideas about media and representation in particular. Media contexts help us understand why particular media representations have been constructed in the manner they have within any given media text. Media context requires us to consider what was going on in the world at the time of the making of any particular media text, which might be helpful in understanding how and why any particular media text is made. Rio was made in 1982 by British pop band Duran. The music video itself could be argued as being very symbolic of the times in which it was made. This is because England was going through a cultural revolution at the time which was influenced by the politics that were occurring at this time. The political context was known as Thatcherism, named after then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Thatcher believed that both businesses and people in general should be allowed to live their lives how they wished, without government interference, so long as they remained within the law. She freed up many businesses to make money any way that they wished, without much in the way of rules. In terms of the music industry, of which this case study is a part of, this meant that many enjoyed both wealth and excess beyond their wildest dreams. Pop stars were rich before Thatcherism, but what Thatcherism did was state categorically that flaunting wealth and success was perfectly acceptable. In the past, British society saw showing off in any way as a taboo, meaning that it wasn't acceptable behaviour in British society. If you were successful, you kept it to yourself, and bragging about it was unthinkable. This all changed with Thatcherism, and society changed with it. So when we see the band members of Duran prancing around on their yacht and enjoying the pleasures of wealth in the music video for their hit single Rio, we can clearly see the political context of Thatcherism being represented loud and clear. With the advent of video in the 1980s, because technology was becoming more affordable at this time, music videos became a lot more exciting because for the first time music videos could be edited easier. Not only this, visual effects could be used to make the videos even more exciting. The Rio music video took full advantage of this technological revolution and, although primitive by today's standards, the visual effects used in the video were nothing less than cutting edge at the time the video was made. Today, we take for granted that people can use mobile phones, record footage and instantly edit along with visual effects. However, back in 1982, visual effects outside of Hollywood were either unheard of or were not very good. The Rio music video is still quite exciting to watch today, but we must understand and appreciate that the video made the best of the technology that was available at the time. So let's consider the representations in the video itself. Probably the most interesting representation is of Rio itself. Rio, or to call the place by its full name, Rio de Janeiro, is the capital city of Brazil, which is a country. It has long been considered a glamorous location around the world, but many people could not afford to go there. By choosing to make the video there, Duran indirectly gave people whom saw the video aspirations about such exotic places that they may never visit. This made the video very popular at the time of its release. Ironically, the video was a spur-of-the-moment production, because Duran's music label needed a video to give the new popular music channel MTV. As luck would have it, the band was already on holiday in Rio, so shooting the video was easier than would have otherwise been the case. This happy accident aside, the song they wrote about Rio was virtually a hymn of praise to the country and the pleasures that can be found there. Not only is the beautiful country itself represented in the video, but the band also represents the country in the form of a mysterious, beautiful woman whom arrives on the boat in the video. The band members were heavily influenced by art, and this can be clearly seen in their female representation of Rio, whom is represented as a beautiful, mysterious but also bird-like woman, as she is covered in bright colours and acts in a bird-like way. The other women are represented in a quasi-sexual way, which Mulvey would argue backs up her argument about women being represented in the media in a manner that panders almost exclusively to male pleasure. There is little doubt that this is the case in the video, but to their credit, the band members represent themselves as goofy and silly when trying to impress these women. Bearing in mind that the all-male band members were seen as heartthrobs amongst women at the time, this deliberately silly representation of themselves could be seen as an act of self-deprecation on their part. Overall though, the band are represented as adventurous and glamorous. The video features iconic images of the band in Anthony Price suits, which were both very expensive and very loud in terms of colour. These suits, whilst unthinkable for most men to wear today, were very fashionable at the time for those whom could afford it. Besides this, brightly coloured shell suits were also the rage during the 1980s. Looking back, cultural historians generally regard the 1980s as the decade that taste forgot. Bearing in mind how silly people from the 1980s look today, it would seem they have a point.